G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Dave. This afternoon we're going to look at making some beautiful beef and Irish stew, obviously using world famous Guinness, also a little bit of red wine as well. So the challenge for this week is actually to do some slow cooking at home. Okay, so it can be a stewing or a braising, whatever you'd like. There's many different cuts of meat that you can use for slow cooking, but what we're generally looking at is the secondary cut of meat. So secondary cut of meat is the part of the animal that gets used most often. Okay, so if we have a look at the meat we've got here, lots of connective tissue, lots of bits of fat in there as well. It can't cook quickly. It has to cook over a long time so that the muscles break down and you get all that beautiful flavour, and obviously it becomes nice and tender. If you put that onto the barbecue right now and cook it for 10 minutes, it's going to be really chewy. So slow cooking is key, and that's the challenge for this week. So what we're going to do to start ourselves up, I'll show you the ingredients, but first things first, I'll get the pot on. I've got a quarter of a cup of olive oil. I'm going to put it on the heat pretty close to full. Okay, so a quarter cup of olive oil. We're going to actually sear off. And what the searing is going to do is it means it's going to keep all the moisture inside the beef. So ingredient wise, we've got ourselves the beautiful Guinness. Okay, we're going to need 1 cup of the Guinness beer. Okay, highly recommend visiting the Guinness factory if you get a chance. In Dublin, fantastic. I've also got a cup of red wine. Now I've also got a cup of water that's going to be used, and we're just going to add that additional cup to the water mixture because it's going to go in at the same time. All right, so lots of really strong flavours in this dish today. And that's one of the keys when working with slow cooking. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different ingredients. So we've got the beautiful Guinness stout. Okay, we've got 6 cloves of garlic. We've got some salt, Worcestershire sauce. We've got some dried thyme. A little bit of sugar. Okay, helps with the cooking process and cuts through those strong flavours. We've got some onion. As you can see, we've got red and white onion here. The Spanish onion was just because that was all I had left in the cupboard. I've also got some beautiful carrots. As you can see the size there. I didn't want to make them too small. I wanted so that you can actually still taste them while you're having the stew. And then one of the keys with a really good beef and Guinness stew is to make sure we've got some nice potatoes as well. But they're going to go in a little bit later. Water and red wine. Okay, at this stage the oil's got some heat into it now, which is great. Always be really careful when working with oil. My Year 11 students will certainly know about that. It's really important to keep the exhaust fan on at all times, and also just stay with the food. Okay, so I'm just going to start by getting a few pieces of the beef into the mixture, into the frying pan. Just a little side note here, this beautiful French cookware parents got for me as a wedding present 20 years ago. So really love having pieces of cookware that you keep for a long time. Now what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to sear all the meat. So you don't want to overcrowd the meat. If you overcrowd the casserole dish here, what you're going to do is you're going to reduce the temperature inside, and then the meat will just start leaching out all of the moisture. Okay, and it'll start sort of turning into a change it from actually frying. Okay, so a good amount of temperature there. We'll have to do 3 batches to get that going. We'll see you back in a minute once I've finished all of the browning off and searing of the meat. Thanks. Again now, so the meat has all been seared off beautifully, nice brown colour all over, so it's just really like that together. So now I'm going to add the garlic to the oil. We're just going to saute that off for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add all the wet ingredients in. Really important when you're working with the garlic, you're not trying to overcook it, okay? Sort of 40 seconds max is at this stage. Heat down just a little bit. from there, we're just going to add some of these wet ingredients. So again, we've got a cup of wine, a cup of water, straight in, a cup of the Guinness, my stout. I'm going to add the beef straight back in now. Just a little bit of a side note to go with the beef. We actually put a little bit of seasoning, just salt on top of the beef before we cooked it. That's a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Great strong flavour there. Tablespoon dry thyme. Tablespoon of sugar. A couple of bay leaves. Bay leaves grow really well. Bay trees grow really well in Canberra. If you ever get a chance to grow a bay tree, well worth doing. And then we've got 50 grams of tomato paste as well. Okay, all really strong flavours. Now some of you will probably be asking, what exactly is a stew? When we're looking at stews, it's very similar, I guess, to a soup in the sense that the meat is all going to be submerged through the cooking process, which is different to a braise. Okay, but what you're going to find is by the time this is cooked over the next 2 hours, is the liquid is actually going to reduce. So it's almost like a mixture of beautiful ingredients in a gravy. Okay, so at this stage now, we're pretty happy with that. We're actually going to transfer it across to a different stove. Okay. Once it comes up to heat, I'll lower the temperature. All right, going back to the first stove top again, what we're going to do is we're going to get a frying pan on. We're going to want some butter. Okay, got about 2 tablespoons of butter there. Really important to keep cleaning as you go. Also, don't forget the beef stock. Good work, Mr. Moore. 4 cups of beef stock. Okay, again, beautiful flavour. So in total, I guess it's a bit over 2 litres worth of liquids to go with beautiful meat. Okay. Get into the recycling. Okay, so now we're going to move on to sauteing the onion and the carrot. You'll find this in so many different recipes. Okay, it doesn't matter what type of cuisine, where it comes from, flavours of onion and carrot always go hand in hand, often with celery as well, and certainly with garlic to go with that. So it doesn't matter what you're cooking, that always works well. I'm just going to get the butter to melt a little bit further. And what we're going to do is we're going to saute these off. I'm going to do this for about 15 minutes, so I'm not going to keep you for the whole time. But what we're doing is we're softening it. We're not trying to brown the onion and the carrot, we're just trying to soften them down, okay? So I'll get these started and I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Talk soon. See ya. Minutes into the process now. We have a look. It's sort of slowly softening up the onion and carrot mix. It's very important just to keep moving it through. Okay. Don't let one side stick. We'll get too much colour. Okay. But as you can see, it's no colour. It's just softening beautifully. I reckon about another 7 minutes and we'll be there. Onions and carrots have been sauteed beautifully now. We can turn that off. The stew is coming along. We've got some nice boil there, so we're going to put the lid on. We're going to turn that down to low, and we're going to put a timer on. Really important when using a timer such as a kitchen timer. You're actually pushing the timer button. U9, you know what I'm talking about there. Bay 4. All right, really important. So we're going to set that for about an hour. So then we'll come back and we're going to add the sauteed mix along with some potatoes. In for the final hour. Alright, we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so the timer's just gone off, so the stew has been cooking for an hour now. So let's have a bit of a look. Looking beautiful. Okay, so there's a couple of little jobs to do right now. The first job is just to skim a little bit of the excess fat. So as the meat cooks, it obviously, the fat gets sort of rendered off and comes to the surface. So really important to skim some of that fat off. Don't worry if you get a little bit of the sauce in there as well, but it's just good to get that top layer skimmed off. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to drain the potatoes, just sort of keep them in water for the last hour. And then I'm going to add the carrots, onion, potato to the stew, so then it can cook for about another hour from now. Now, the reason why we're adding the potatoes at this stage and the carrots as well, so they just don't break down too much. It's still nice to have the carrots having a little bit of carrots, the onion, and even more importantly, the potato having a little bit of bite. You don't want them to be big mush. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that now. So from here, what I'll do, potatoes, I will give them a rinse. Colander. Okay, right. As Grace was saying, like a mirepoix, but it's only just carrots and onion, no celery in there. Okay, get the veg in there. Gee, that's looking great. Right. By adding the potatoes, you're also going to thicken up the mixture itself. Okay, so if you come and have a look around here, Grace, Grace is my cameraman today, camera lady. She's always bumping into things, this is the way she rolls. So from now, just another hour or so, but as you can see the meat's really just starting to get nice and tender. I'll see you back in about an hour. We'll be ready to serve. Right, okay, so the stew has now been going for about an hour and 45 minutes. We talked about it being 2 hours in total. I think this is probably pretty close to done at this stage. I don't want the potato to be overcooked, but what I've got is the sauce probably isn't thick enough. So I've actually got a little bit of potato flour here. Corn flour would work as well, but potato flour is fine. It has a bit of a thickening agent. So just a little bit of water added to it. What you need to do is just sort of get rid of all the lumps. About a tablespoon. Okay. Once you're happy that there's no lumps, pour that into the sauce. And what it'll do is, as it heats, it'll just give that nice little bit of thickening to the sauce. Because we're not really after a soup, we want it just to be a bit thicker. Okay. Now I've got in the oven, I've got some beautiful bread that Grace has gone down the shops and got for me. Okay, plenty of veg here in the stew itself. So 2-3 minutes and we'll be ready to serve. Oh, before we go though, let's do something that's pretty important. Getting rid of the bay leaves. Okay, great for flavour, not so good for eating. Okay, hopefully I can find that second leaf in here somewhere. Maybe it'll be a little prize for somebody during dinner tonight. Alright, find you a bit later. Alright, cheers.